The idea of Liko and Roy versus Galarian Moltres sounds crazy, right? A battle like that would be way too much for two brand new trainers, they'd get destroyed. But hear me out, okay? Because I have a lot of strong evidence, like I'm talking hard to refute levels of evidence, suggesting that Galarian Moltres is coming to Pokemon Horizons, and that Liko and Roy are gonna have to face it way sooner than you might expect. First off, let's look at the description of this week's episode. The Rising Voltaclers return to the Galar mine in their search for the Black Rayquaza. As they search the area, Liko and Roy get separated from Freed, and they continue deeper into the mine where they hear a mysterious cry. There they find a group of people and Pokemon that have somehow completely lost their spirit and their vigor. Meanwhile, Amethio and his explorer companions also arrive at the mine in their pursuit of Rayquaza. But I think the episode description is purposely not including one of the main parts of the episode, Galarian Moltres. So in this video I want to talk about all the proof I have that Galarian Moltres is gonna appear, and trust me, there's a lot of proof. But real quick before that, let's take a brief pause. Liko and Roy versus Galarian Moltres would be a boss battle for the ages. You know, just a team of friends taking on a foe much larger than them. And maybe you found yourself wishing that you could be part of huge boss battles like that too. Well, it just so happens that you can, on Raid Shadow Legends, who have very kindly sponsored today's video. Raid Shadow Legends is a free mobile game with a heavy focus on turn-based combat, and with an absolutely huge range of champions to play as, and a huge range of bosses to fight against. And speaking of which, what draws me to the game is those boss battles. Let's talk about one of the bosses in particular, Koldath the Magma Dragon. I want to talk about him because he's a huge, dark, fiery beast with flaming wings and the power of fire. That kind of monster sounds really familiar, hey? Anyway, this dude is crazy intelligent and can either hit your entire team at once, or he can target your squishiest team members. Bonnie and Squishy better run. And hey, right now if you download Raid Shadow Legends and log in on 7 different days between now and October the 23rd, you can get Sun Wukong, a legendary champion based on the Monkey King, completely for free, dude. So with so much exciting content constantly being added, now is really the time to start playing Raid Shadow Legends. Use my link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to get a starter pack and to really get going with the game. It would really support me and my channel personally, so I would really appreciate it, dude. And of course, it'd be a lot of fun for you too. So now let's get back into the video. Like I was saying, this week's episode description mentions how Liko and Roy hear a mysterious cry in the mines, and then they find a group of people and Pokemon who have somehow completely lost their spirits. The description seems to hint that the cry is seemingly a Pokemon, possibly the Pokemon that caused the others to lose their spirits and their energy. And real quick, let's take a look at Galarian Moltres' Pokedex entry. Galarian Moltres' sinister flame-like aura will consume the spirit of any creature it hits. Victims become burned out shadows of themselves. So Galarian Moltres' Pokedex entry literally says that it consumes the spirits of people and Pokemon, leaving them behind completely burned out and exhausted, and that just so happens to be exactly what happens in this week's episode. A mysterious Pokemon stealing people and Pokemon's spirits and leaving them completely burned out. Certainly interesting, dude. And that's not all. The episode is set in the Galar region, where Galarian Moltres obviously lives, and Galarian Moltres was never shown in Pokemon Journeys even once, so it's super likely that it'll appear in this series instead. Furthermore, Liko and Roy are literally seen in the episode trailer following a mysterious flame spirit into the mines, and like obviously a flame spirit, a spirit in the form of a flame, that very much correlates with Galarian Moltres. And perhaps the final piece of evidence proving that Galarian Moltres is involved is the legend of the Ancient Adventurer. I'm sure you all know who the Ancient Adventurer is by now. He's been mentioned so many times in this season, and as we all know, the Ancient Adventurer had 6 Pokemon. We know 2 of them so far, the shiny Rayquaza and then the giant Arboliver, and a big part of the story in Pokemon Horizons is Liko and Roy meeting all of the Ancient Adventurer's old Pokemon and then catching them in the Ancient Pokeballs. Well, when we were told about the Ancient Adventurer's Pokemon, we were told that one of them in particular had the purpose of flying through the skies. And really quickly have a look at that Pokemon's silhouette. Dude, that heavily resembles Galarian Moltres if you ask me. Not only is it a dark orange colour, suggesting, in my opinion, a dark fiery Pokemon, but it's also a bird with a flowing flame-like head and flowing flame-like wings and tail. It heavily resembles Galarian Moltres in a few ways, and the preview trailer even shows that Liko's pendant will activate while she's in the mines, and in the previous episodes, her pendant only ever activates either when she's in danger or when she's in the presence of the ancient adventurer's old Pokemon, like how it activated when she was in the presence of Arboliver. So dude, I really think that Galarian Moltres is the ancient adventurer's old Pokemon, and I think Liko and Roy will encounter the Galarian Moltres in the Galar mines, and they'll realize that Galarian Moltres is the one stealing people's spirits. They'll have to come face to face with Galarian Moltres and either battle it or persuade it to join their side, and that is exactly why the title for next week's episode is still being kept a secret. Normally, episode titles are announced like a month in advance, but we still don't know the title of next week's episode. I really think it's because the title is going to be about Galarian Moltres, but they don't want to spoil it until after we watch this week's episode. So yeah, my theory is that at the end of this week's episode, Liko and Roy will come face to face with Galarian Moltres, and then next week's episode will probably be them battling it and realizing it's way too powerful, and then probably finding a way to persuade it to join their side. Hold me to this, dude, because I have a really good feeling. Let me know your thoughts on this theory below, and also be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. That would really help me out, and I'd really appreciate it. And on that note, thank you all so much for watching, and best wishes until we meet again.